Welcome to the third episode of the Echoes 500 podcast for the 2024 edition of the National Podcast Posting Month. I'm ShadowsPub. Today, I'm going to talk about the very first Echo I published on June the 14th of 2023. The images didn't have a name back then. They were just me playing with Midjourney, making images. As my 500th Echo approached, I found my first image and put it through the process I now use to create a quote and comment to accompany images. The first word was catalyst, and the image I created can be described as a surreal style with vibrant colors presenting a cat's face with piercing green eyes and a chaotic array of colors, shapes, and forms. The background includes elements like fluid-like extremes, twisted architecture, and organic shapes merging and morphing into each other. What would life be without the unexpected catching us off guard? In those moments of chaos and disorder, there can emerge a spark, a force even, that if I recognize and engage with it, the moment has the power to ignite change. Those moments are catalysts. A catalyst is an agent of change capable of being transformative, as it drives me towards growth and new understanding. It can challenge my assumptions and spark innovation. The chaos can be an element of the catalytic process. For true growth, I need to intentionally engage with the chaos through stillness, curiosity, and reflection. So, what is the catalyst I speak of? It's something that initiates change without being consumed or changed by the process. The word comes from the Greek katalysis, meaning loosening or dissolution, suggesting an element that disrupts, breaks down, or opens a pathway to transformation. In chemistry, a catalyst speeds up reactions by lowering the activation energy needed. This allows processes to unfold quickly and efficiently. In our life, catalysts work similarly to create shifts that may have otherwise remained dormant. When disruptive chaos or catalytic moments strike, the instinctive reaction is resistance to or fear of the moment. They create uncertainty and rattle my comfort zone. Feeling the walls of a comfort zone rattle is not always a bad thing. The rattle doesn't necessarily lead to shifts and growth. How I respond to the rattle determines the outcome. It's important that I'm aware when disruption hits that I need to take a deep, slow breath, calm the fear and the panic, to take a look at what's going on. If I don't, the fear takes over. I need to be the cat in the image, to find my composure and center myself as the change unfolds. Finding calm lets me be focused with some clarity about the transformation that can happen. The quote I wrote for this image was, "Chaos sparked by the unexpected can transform into a catalyst for change and growth that exceeds your expectations." The pandemic for me was a catalyst. After the initial uncertainty of how I was going to deal with the situation, what unfolded was a profound shift in my life. For several reasons, I was at a high risk for COVID. A friend offered to bring groceries in for me, and another friend offered to pick up my mail for me. These acts of kindness allowed me to remain home and my needs to be met. My other needs were met through delivery services. Staying home without any external demands on my time allowed me to dedicate focus to my own creative pursuits. For decades, I had given outside interest priority over my own pursuits. The pandemic brought the outside activities to a halt. After the initial unsettled period, turning my attention to making what had been secondary into my primary attention has led to growth in many areas of life for me. The daily echoes in this podcast are just two examples of the shift. Reaching the point where I calmed my mind and opened my awareness to discover what I truly wanted to pursue, the pandemic became a catalyst for my shift in life perspective. Buddhism is a spiritual tradition that encourages the calming of the mind through meditation practices that allows the practitioner to process and understand deeper meaning in their lives. For Christians, the practice of prayer is another form of meditation. Both practices encourage grounding ourselves with periods of stillness and contemplation. Moving through disruption with a calmer, mindfulness allowed curiosity to encourage me to explore avenues of creativity I'd never looked at before. The emergence of AI caught my attention and curiosity. I soon found ways to engage AI, not to do the work for me, but to serve as my assistant, a collaborator to my projects. My decision to continue to pursue my creativity and willingness to be open to explore this emerging paradigm enables me to create in more ways than I could ever have imagined. Even more important, I love doing it. I've embraced using generative art to create the images for the Daily Echo. To get to the images, I've created processes using AI to help build background and reference material. I believe once the initial fallout from the paradigm that is AI clears away, generative art will be another genre of art. The genre will be shaped by the creators who bring depth and meaning into the images they create. Like any shift in mindset and actions, the changes set in motion by the pandemic meant I needed to look within. I needed to do a lot of introspection and reflection about where my life had been, was now, and where it was heading. Response to the pandemic had to be deliberately set in motion. My adaptive response helped me to build resilience and open space for my creativity and innovation. I've seen many who saw the pandemic as an unfair intrusion and attack on the life they were leading. They are people who chose not to respond with curiosity and possibility to this global, life-changing event. Returning to introspection and reflection, the time spent doing so helped guide me to clarity and insight, a practice that I have engaged in during the past, but it was usually in relation to outside activities I was involved in to solve problems. Now I spend time on introspection and reflection to not only consider problems, but also to allow my mind to see parts of my picture my attention might not previously have noticed. It's amazing what I'd blinded myself to before by not giving my mind time to work its magic. I may be in my senior years, but I'm very aware that given the freedom to explore, my growth will never end. Now, don't get me wrong. Creating growth, awareness, and adaptability is layered over time. It takes chipping away at mindsets, beliefs, and expectations of the past to make room for the new to come in. The first challenge is deciding it's okay to change, and that change is wanted. The journey is not for the faint of heart, but it's worth undertaking. Part of my reflection process is taking time to journal, writing down what I'm doing, what challenges I'm facing, and how I respond to them in that moment gives me a record to return to and review. We forget details easily. A journal helps recall. When I forget how far I've come, reading back through old journal entries is a reminder. I've experienced many catalysts in my lifetime. I didn't always recognize them for what they were. Sometimes they are as simple as making a comment that keeps coming back to me until I start to explore it. I've come to think of disruptions and chaos as the universe getting my attention. The shift in thinking helps me to step into exploring what is going on with a more open, curious mind. How about you? As you've listened to me, have you considered events in your life that was a catalyst? How'd you respond? How has it changed you? Feel free to share in the comments. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Echoes 500 podcast, a collection of reflections on some of my daily echoes where I use AI to explore life one word at a time. When I'm online, I hang out in my drop-in office. Feel free to drop in at gobrunch.com/ShadowsPub